Thunder rolls across flat Midwestern fields. A neon motel sign flickers. A lone street lamp buzzes in the dark. America's heartland. A place folks like to picture as clean, honest, and simple. But in the 1930s, the Midwest and Southwest were anything but simple. Crime waves rolled across the plains like dust storms. Dillinger, the Barkers, Pretty Boy Floyd. And in the chaos, the law got sloppy. Sometimes it got cruel. Oklahoma was the worst of it. Police and prosecutors, desperate to look tough, started acting like the criminals they hunted. And in that mess, a man named Paul Goodwin got swallowed whole. 1936, Seminole, Oklahoma. Officer Chris Whitson is shot dead. Goodwin and his buddy Horace Buster Lindsay are arrested. Both had records, sure, but they weren't the monsters the papers made them out to be. Didn't matter. Officials decided early that Goodwin pulled the trigger, even though his own partner said otherwise. Goodwin was denied a lawyer for 79 days. 79. During the trial, prosecutors hid the truth. Lindsay had confessed twice before blaming Goodwin. A witness even heard Goodwin shout, "Don't do that, Buster. Don't do that," when the shot rang out. That testimony, buried. Goodwin got life. 25 years behind bars for a murder he didn't commit. He wasn't a saint, but in this case, he was innocent. And innocence didn't matter. Michigan wasn't any kinder. June 9th, 1954, Lansing. Walter Pecho comes home from a factory shift. His wife Eleanor had tried to kill herself before. Fire, pills, carbon monoxide. That morning, she sat in a chair, put a shotgun to her chest, and pulled the trigger. A suicide note lay beside her body, but a pathologist claimed the angle of the wound meant murder. Pecho was convicted, 15 to 20 years. Only later did his lawyer discover a fingerprint on the shotgun's trigger guard, Eleanor's fingerprint. Evidence the police had found and suppressed. Experts re-examined the case. They proved she'd killed herself. Still, courts refused a new trial. Only a governor's pardon finally set Pecho free in 1960. Then came Illinois, and one of the darkest stories of all. 1955, Canton, Illinois. 8-year-old Janice Elizabeth May is found dead in an abandoned rail car. Police arrest Lloyd Eldon Miller Jr., a cab driver with no record. He confesses, but only after police told him he'd face the electric chair if he didn't. He was naive, alone, terrified. The prosecution's star exhibit? A pair of jockey shorts with red stains. They let the jury believe it was blood, but the stains were paint. Police lab reports proved it, and those reports were suppressed. Miller survived 7 execution dates. One stay came just 8 hours before he was set to die. 15 years stolen before the truth finally surfaced. Ohio had its own ghosts. 1973, Columbus. Restaurateur John Georgieff is murdered during a robbery. Thomas H. Brody Jr. is convicted, even though police knew the real killer was Donald Boyd, a man later shot dead in a police standoff. Detective Tom Jones hid that fact. Brody served years before the truth clawed its way out. Then there was Gary L. Beeman, a thief, yes, but not a killer. 1975, Geneva, Ohio. Robert Perrin is beaten and shot in his home. A policeman claims he saw Beeman leaving the scene. Beeman says his companion, Claire Robin Lutzo, an escaped convict, did it. Prosecutors insist Beeman acted alone. But the trial was a circus. Beeman's lawyer was incompetent. The court blocked him from accessing legal materials. Witnesses weren't allowed to testify. And still, Beeman fought, studying law in prison, filing motions, refusing to die quietly. At his retrial, 5 witnesses testified that Lutzo had confessed to the murder. Beeman was acquitted, but the judge made it clear the acquittal didn't officially blame Lutzo. Justice doesn't like admitting its mistakes. And then came the case that shook Oklahoma to its core, Adolph Munson. 1985, Clinton, Oklahoma. A convenience store clerk, Alma Hall, is kidnapped and murdered. Munson, a black man who'd escaped from a correctional center, becomes the perfect suspect. A jailhouse informant claims Munson confessed. A motel manager vaguely identifies his car. A forensic expert says a hair matches the victim. But none of it was real. Prosecutors hid everything. 165 exculpatory photographs, hundreds of reports, witness statements identifying a white suspect, tire tracks that didn't match Munson's car, and evidence pointing to a man named Ralph Yeary, a known abductor and robber. They even hid the fact that the motel manager had been hypnotized before testifying. And the medical examiner? Dr. Ralph Erdman, later convicted of fabricating evidence in multiple cases. Munson was retried in 1995. This time, the truth was allowed to breathe. The jury acquitted him. These aren't just stories. They're warnings carved into the bones of America's heartland.